of the sessions, and I've never done this before, so excuse me if something goes seriously wrong. I try to to compete with or compare with the responses that I give and the responses that comes out from ChatGPT, and for 5 commonly asked KM questions. All right, so we'll go through each of these questions one by one. I have asked your good lecturer, Dr. Christine, to ask the question. Now, where does this question come from? Well, you may recall about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I sent a link to Christine, and he sent it out to all the students, and we've got 20 responses, which is great. And guess what? You can see from the bar chart here. Number 10 is the most rated, most preferred questions. Are there standards for knowledge management? Should we accept them? Okay, and there are few number 8, and the one on the left here is what are the best KM methods and tools to use? And then another one is knowledge audit and knowledge strategy. Which one comes first? So what I have decided, and is we're going to name. Where's my cursor? Here. Okay, we're going to name this to be question number 1. And Christian, this will repeat it on the screen, so you don't need to remember.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So I add 2 more because there's a second part to that survey, and you are asked, what are the questions you would like to ask? So we get more responses. You can run your eyes over it, what are relevant KMS to adopt, with competing strategies, limited resources, what change management tips can you give? Do we need knowledge management specialists in all organizations? What are the key points to adapt when entering a KM space? How to explain or demonstrate the importance of KM in organization? Take us through the steps of how to start a KM from scratch. What are the benefits, to use, challenges, and how to mitigate those challenges. And some organizations do not have KM at all. As a young person who's studying KM, how can I introduce KM to my organization? What to start? All right, so out of these, I have selected this to be number 4, and this super duper question to be number 5. So we'll go through this 5 question, and as I said, I will give the verbal response first. I won't resend the slide so that it will be competing on par with ChatGPT. I just verbally share. And Dr. Ivana Pavlito, she's on the manning the battle station for AIprop.org. And this is how it would work. And I need your input again. So for each question, hang on, where's the question?
Oh, so we're voting on Menti for this. Yeah, okay.
Yes, that's right. So I should give you the link again. So this time is the link to so I put it on chat line again. All right, you got that?
Yeah, so yeah, we got the link. Yeah.
Right. So this is how it goes. So for question 1, Christian will ask the question. I will respond. You listen to my response, and then Ivana will share screen, and she will show the ChatGPT response, and then you can fill that in. We won't see the result until we have done all the 5. All right. So because after the 5,
Okay.
there's 2 general questions. All right. So just to get everyone hanging there. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
Ivana,
right,
are you ready?
You ready, Ivana?
Yes, I am. So
okay, perfect. All right.
Share screen, is that right? So
yeah. Okay. Okay, with this, all the responses. Okay. Shall we go with the first question?
Yes. So I will also share my screen.
Jen.
Okay.
Because let me respond first. Otherwise, I can read the result from GPT.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So, Prof, are there standards for knowledge management, and should we adopt them?
Right. Thank you for the question. Now, there are standards for knowledge management. In fact, I can go as far back as about 18, 20 years ago. Australia is the first country that published knowledge management standard. You can go to the Standards Australia website. And in fact, before the Australian KM standard, there was the KM framework and the interim KM standard. All right, so Australia is the first country, followed by British, Standards Institute also published 5 parts, good practices to KM. And among them, there is, KM tools, there's KM best practices. And then there's also the European Standards Institute, also have 5 parts for capturing good practices, KM for SMEs and KM technologies, among other things. Then China has also released its KM standard, the national KM standard for China, in 5 parts, and it's 2011. America's representative is IKMI, and I think that's, I may be wrong here, International KM Institute. And some 5 years ago, they started putting together, calling for input to a KM standard, but I have not seen the output from it. And then the latest one, everyone's talking about it, is the ISO 30401 KMS, Knowledge Management Systems Standard, put out by ISO, and that's in 2018. Now, I'd like to add an additional point here, based on what I've just shared. You heard about these 3 words: the framework, guidelines, good practices, and standards. All right. In fact, I'd like to point out that these standards, KM standards, they are basically descriptive standards rather than prescriptive standards, if you know what I mean. Descriptive standards, in fact, they are more like guidelines. They are good things that you would take into consideration to follow when you try to plan your KM journey. All right. So there's, for example, the strategy, the initiatives, the technologies, and the change. Very important, the change that you have attend to, rather than prescriptive, which is, like doctor giving a prescription. You must do this. You take this. No. In KM, because of the complexity of each organization, the uniqueness of every KM journey, it is not like that. So, all right. So that's my response to the KM standards. Thank you. So, Yamana, you might like to share screen. Is that right?
Okay. Yeah, okay, you can hear me. And so I asked ChatGPT if there are standards for knowledge management and whether we should adopt them. The same question that the Professor Tsui just answered. And the answer is yes, there are standards for knowledge management, such as ISO 30401 2018 and 9001 2015. We cannot understand really what are these standards and where they are coming from. Whether or not to adopt these standards would depend on your organization needs and goals, as well as the benefits and costs associated with implementation. Adopting these standards can help to ensure consistency and quality in knowledge management practices, as well as improving organizational efficiency and effectiveness. So that's the answer by ChatGPT. And I guess now you can try to vote in Mentimeter which answer you liked more.
Yeah, I'll give you 2 minutes to do that. Yeah.
I think.
Answering question 1 now. Question one only. Okay.
Yeah, that's good. And then it pushes you onto the next possibility, and then you just wait for the next one. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we give that another minute. Yeah.
All good.
I think we can run a class on this later.
We can go because there's one button to click, so we can go for the next one.
All right, then let me share screen again. Where am I? Share screen. Okay, share. Okay, you can see. So I don't know why it doesn't show the question, but it should. Okay, let's go on. All right, Christine, ask the question.
Oh, yes. So what are the best, whoops,
KM tools.
just move on. Yeah, what are the best KM tools to use? Yeah.
Right. Well, I think this question is a bit misleading because the word best is subjective, right? So if you ask me what KM tools to deploy for each KM journey, it depends on the journey, it depends on the stage of the journey, it depends on the strategy, the focus, and the expected outcome. So to me, there is no such thing as the best KM tool, right? Because it all depends on the need of the organization and the current situation and the context. All right. So that said, the commonly used KM tools, I can differentiate them into two categories. The more technological oriented group would definitely, as you know, would be search engines, document management systems, collaboration systems, enterprise portals, instant messaging systems, Web 2.0 systems, and more. And then the more, the cultural and the non-technical types of KM systems or tools would be, the Knowledge Cafe, World Cafe, peer support, peer assist, and communities of interest, communities of practice. So the list goes on, right? So these are the commonly applied KM tools and technologies. But once again, my response is basically this is a misleading question because there's no such thing as the best tool. The best would have to be dependent on the stage of the journey, the needs of the requirement, and the purpose, as well as the outcome and the context of exactly what the organization wants to achieve. Thank you.
Okay, let's see now what ChatGPT has replied. So that's the reply for the same question. And ChatGPT says that the best knowledge management methods and tools to use depend on the specific needs and goals of your organization. And then here are some commonly used methods and tools, collaboration tools. These include shared workspaces, wikis, and social media platforms. Content management systems, CMS. These are used to organize and manage content, such as documents and multimedia files. Communities of practice, COPs. These are groups of people who share a common interest or expertise and work together to develop and share knowledge. Lessons learned database. This is a tool used to capture and share individual and organizational experiences and knowledge. Knowledge mapping. This is a process of identifying and visualizing all relevant knowledge within an organization. Data analytics, which is a process of analyzing data to extract insights and knowledge that can be used to improve decision-making. And ultimately, the best KM methods and tools to use depend on the specific goals, resources, and culture of your organization. So it repeats in the end the introductory phrase.
Right. So allow time for the students to complete. Again, this is question 2. You can advance to question 2 and answer the response to question 2 and question 2 only. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so we go to.
Yes, I got question 3. Yeah.
Already. Okay, so.
Yeah. So I am ready.
You know what to ask?
Yeah. I know what to ask because it showed. Yes. So it is 2 important steps. Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
So you want to read that out, or you wait for a few?
Yeah, I can. Shall we go on? With
yes,
regards, okay. So question 3. 2 important steps in a KM journey are formulating a KM strategy and a knowledge audit. Are they both absolutely required? And which one should come first? Wow,
this is a tough question, right? Yes, I would say that both of them have their, both deserve a legitimate place in the KM journey. And in fact, especially for the audit. You may want to carry out a number of times in the KM journey. Now, as for which one comes first, it's a chicken and egg problem, because on the one hand, you can say that when we plan a KM strategy, then we know what sort of focus and emphasis that we need to be on, and from that we can create the strategy in order to operationalize it. Fair enough. In that case, you may create a strategy first, and part of that strategy may need to identify what are the critical knowledge that needs to be harnessed, shared, and documented, for example. So that sounds like the knowledge audit will be part of the KM strategy. On the other hand, I've also encountered situations where without a strategy conducted, we immediately go into doing an audit, and that is in fact when firms are so confident about a chunk of knowledge that they need to identify or to harness, they may specifically ask a team to carry out a knowledge audit to better find out the chunk of knowledge in there, the mapping among the various concepts inside that chunk of knowledge, because they want to have a better way of managing that piece of knowledge where they believe it's already critical for the survival or even further leadership. So it partially depends on how confident and how sure management and the organization knows about that particular piece of knowledge. If they know that this area of knowledge is absolutely critical for the success, then they can start pouring resources into knowledge audit and generate the thick of what they want. Sometimes they also do that just to get a third-party opinion to see if indeed they are right. So in that case, they would also designate to carry out a knowledge audit without a strategy. So either way I have worked with, and either way is fine. But I would also like to emphasize once again, both of these things, while they deserve the place, you may want to consider doing that multiple times in the KM journey, right? For example, the KM strategy is not a one-size-fits-all. It's not a one-time and then you finished about it, because over time, external factors may change. And therefore, you may want to revisit your strategy and recalibrate your strategy. Similarly, for knowledge audit, there are people movement, there are external factors change, organization may change their directions. So therefore, at a suitable time, knowledge audit may be re-carry that out just to find out exactly what are the critical knowledge now, that the organization should focus on now and in the immediate future. Thank you.
Well, that's a very comprehensive answer and very hard to compete, but ChatGPT will do its best. So the answer by ChatGPT is that both formulating a KM strategy and conducting a knowledge audit are important steps in a KM journey, and the order in which they are performed can vary depending on organizational needs and goals. In general, it is recommended to conduct a knowledge audit before formulating a KM strategy, and this is because a knowledge audit will help to identify the current state of knowledge within an organization, including what knowledge exists, where it is located, how it is accessed, and how it is used. This information is valuable for informing the development of a KM strategy that is tailored to the specific needs and characteristics of the organization. However, in some cases, it may be useful to develop a draft KM strategy first, based on available information and assumptions, and then conduct a knowledge audit to validate or refine the assumptions and inform the finalization of the KM strategy. So, you now share what you think. Although
yes.
I'm sure, my consideration is whether me reading the answer changes, influences the perception of the answer, because I was thinking that if I could have the ChatGPT reading its own answer, it would sound much different.
Maybe. Did you guys vote?
Yeah, you should be voting on
Yeah.
question 3.
Yeah. So
Yeah, we
are we
voted.
ready? Voting in? Voting in? Can we go with question 4? Oh, that's another tough one. So are you ready, Prof?
Yes, I'm ready.
For question 4. Do we need knowledge management specialists in all organizations?
Wow, what a question. Do we need KM specialists in all organizations? Again, it depends. For an organization who doesn't know much about KM, information management or document management, having a specialist who can plan for them, who can show them the way, who can start to cultivate change is certainly useful. Otherwise, the organizations may still try, but there's a higher chance of not getting any fruitful results. Despite all the genuine effort. Now, for organizations who are starting on KM, then I assume that they have to start to master the KM concepts. So they may have a specialist, or they are maybe breeding a specialist in the organization already. And then for organizations who are really, really successful with KM, will turn themselves into a truly knowledge leverage organization, then I would assume that many people, or just about everybody, is a knowledge worker, and he or she is already fluent in many of the concepts on KM. So in that case, it may sound like that they don't need a KM office because everyone is a KM. But hang on, we shouldn't be too confident, because the whole game plan is changing. Organizations are also adapting to external environments. So it's always nice to have someone who can monitor the prevailing change and help the organization to cope with the change, whether it's technology, cultural, or on other sides. So on other aspects of the journey. So I would say that yes, that would be good that people who are of some specialist skills, who are continuously learning about KM, and help to to caliber and continue to update the organization. But the extent of requiring these specialists is extremely diversified depending on the state of the organization.
Okay, let me share my screen to see the answer by ChatGPT. So, do we need knowledge management specialists in all organizations? Whether or not an organization needs knowledge management specialists depends on the size, complexity, and goals of the organization. In general, organizations with a large number of employees, complex operations, and a focus on innovation, collaboration, and continuous improvement are more likely to benefit from having dedicated knowledge management specialists. Knowledge management specialists can bring unique skills and perspectives to an organization, including expertise in information management, knowledge sharing, and learning and development. They can also help to ensure that knowledge management strategies and initiatives are aligned with organizational goals and are implemented effectively. However, smaller organizations with simpler operations may not need dedicated knowledge management specialists. In these cases, knowledge management responsibilities may be integrated into the job responsibilities of existing employees or managed by a small team. Okay, so short.
Okay. Vote. Okay, did everybody vote? Yeah. Shall we go on? So, Prof, are you ready?
Yes.
The next one. Question 5. How to start knowledge management from scratch? What are the benefits and the tools to use? What are the challenges and how to mitigate them?
Wow, that's a question for the entire course and more, right? So there are 3 or 4 questions in there. So allow me to start with the first one, which is how to start KM from scratch. I think it pays to start small, identify some shortfalls or pain points, identify quick wins, identify areas where you can quickly develop some people-based, cultural-based, or even simple IT initiative that you can demonstrate value, right? So, and then scale it up from there. Now, obviously, with good KM, we expect to improve on certain things and decrease the spending and wastage on certain things. Well, we expect to improve in quality of decision making, improve in searching something accurately and quickly, saving time. We improve in knowing about more about individuals and organizations, who is doing what, where the expertise locate inside the organization, individually and collectively. Increase in knowledge about the network inside the organization and outside the organization, and also to increase in the trust, which is very important to able to expand our trust and be able to leverage on the collective wisdom via the scalable people and resources networks. So what are the challenges? There are lots and lots of challenges. Not everyone is on the same page and attitude towards KM. Some people, because of prior experience or whatever, they may be, not receptive to KM. They may be scared, thinking that KM will replace their job immediately, and they will be deprived of their value in the organization. Some people, many people are confused about what exactly is KM. They cannot differentiate between email, information management, document management, KM, collaboration, Web 2.0, and so forth. There's a lot of clarity to be done in order to demystify it and align everyone on the same page. And also all these misalignment and diversified understanding does not help. So how to mitigate some of these? The sales success stories start with incremental initiatives and scale up. Get buy-in from not only from senior management, but also from the grassroots level as well, and buy-in, and not just in terms of lip service and money, but actually getting them involved, getting them to play the role and contribute, to action-wise to KM effort, and to share and exchange with other organizations, bring in the case studies from other organizations, and help people to convince that this is a good thing for them individually, for their projects, for their group, for their organizations, and even for their society.
Okay, so that was a long answer, but ChatGPT is also giving a long answer as well. It took many minutes to write up this answer. So the question was how to start knowledge management from scratch. What are the benefits and tools to use, and what are the challenges, and how to mitigate those challenges? So the answer is actually quite long.
Maybe you stop rolling and let people read it, because
Yeah,
otherwise
exactly.
it's too...
Yeah. So it has 5 steps on how to get started. Only 5 steps.
Right, and then you can scroll up a bit to go to the next part, benefits.
Yes, there are 5 benefits for the implementation of knowledge management. And 5 tools to use when implementing knowledge management.
Okay, scroll up more.
And last, there are some challenges when implementing knowledge management, 5 again. So repetitive. I guess it is something related to the algorithm on how many results it should provide. Because I guess some areas could be 3 and some areas could be 7 or 8.
So for those of you who have completed the answer to this question, you can advance the multimeter for 2 other questions. One is about the overall speaking, what do you consider to be the strengths of ChatGPT? And the last question is, what do you consider to be the weakness of ChatGPT? All right, so when you completed these 7 questions, we will open up the results and let's see.
I'm curious. Okay.
And this question and the next one are open-end questions, so you can type in whatever words that you like. Oh, there's an 8th question, the final one. Would you use ChatGPT from now on? You know.
Yeah, do we have all the results? Or not yet?
Maybe we give them another minute because there are 3 additional questions that they have
to type up
answer. Yeah. Okay. But it would be exciting.
There should have been also a category of what are the strengths of Prof. Tsui and the weaknesses of Prof. Tsui.
Okay.
That's a good one.
You can type it in the open-end boxes. Okay.
All right.
I may have missed some of the questions.
Oh, okay.
The only question I got was, will you use ChatGPT in the future?
That's okay. Then it skipped you. Then it skipped you because you could have skipped the other questions. So maybe your page reloaded again or something.
All right. So let me.
I think I skipped.
That's the first question.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
That's the first question. All right.
Yeah.
And that's the second question.
Yeah.
Third one.
Uh-huh.
If I may.
I
got all of these questions. I think it was the other bit that I missed.
I think you lost. You missed the last feedback.
The last
questions.
3. The last 3. Okay.
Yeah, you missed the open-ended ones. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Let's just check.
You just advance because you can move freely among these 8 questions. So this is the second last one. And that's the last one. And the last one you can enter. You can select definitely, yes, but with skepticism, only if I'm allowed it to, only when privacy and ethical issues are resolved. Not at this stage, unlikely, occasionally, definitely not. I will wait and see.
Okay, so do we see the results?
Okay, are the students ready?
We forgot to put some music.
I can add to it, like the drumming.
Yes.
All right, so let's go. The first question was, what was the first question? The KM standards, is that right?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Oh, well done, Professor.
Thank you. All right, so we go to question 2. And what was the question 2? Was it KM audit and KM strategy, or what's the best?
I think it was that one. Yeah, I think. Combined response. Okay,
yes, that's good.
That's a draw.
That's good. In fact, all right, third one, KM audit and KM strategy. Which comes first?
Yeah. Oh,
That one also good. Looks like ChatGPT has value in education. Number 4. And what was that? Was a student question about do we need a KM specialist?
yes. Interesting.
Right answer also good, right? Okay, thank you. And finally, what was oh okay, how do you introduce KM, obstacles, challenges?
Yeah. Oh, that's so
Also good.
clear.
All right, so let's see
Yeah.
the open-end questions. Right, easy to use but not always accurate. It gives a general idea of the topic at hand. We can answer the questions in a complete, concise, but the accuracy is questionable. Yes, easy to use but not always accurate. In summary of concept, a jumping off point to lead to further research elsewhere. Your students have got very good interpretation and insights. It provides concise and structured answers. Give you different views and perspective. Okay, I think I answered that already. The chatbot they've defined the responses. It gives an overview of the various topics, give a non-biased answer with summary, steps, explanations. Wow, we got a lot of input, eh? Understanding
Good.
generation. Yes. Well, it sounds like you're forced to incorporate ChatGPT into your lectures.
It looks like I have to.
Yeah, you got evidence to the department. In fact, it's accessible 24/7. Okay. Wow. Allows to enter limitations. Helpful. Jesus, I'll send you all this valuable output, Christine.
Thank you, Prof.
All right, so let's see if anyone has any comment on the negative side. Eh?
Okay. Yeah, so the accuracy thing is the issue. Could be used for plagiarism. Yeah, okay.
And it's possibly biased because it's only as good as the data that's been trained on.
Yeah. So the internet in 2020.
The latest data that ChatGPT 4 is trained on is 1st of September 2021.
21, okay.
Yeah. So if you ask it any real incident after September 2021, it doesn't have a clue.
That the one where you're on now, it doesn't always connect all references. That is a good one, because in the answer where you spoke about the standards, you explained the history and it just said these are the 2 standards. So yeah.
That's right. So very good observation.
Yeah.
Wow, these are very, very valuable input. I will read again and reflect upon. Thank you, all the students. Thank you for your input. And we look at the final question, eh?
Let's see. Okay.
Oh, yes. Well, they will use it. They will use it. So we have to coexist with it in our future, teaching and learning.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful. So I will send you a
Great.
out. I like to, to thank your students and your facilitation of the session.
Thank you, Prof, and thank you, Anna. Thank you, and Ishmael. I don't see him yet, and very, very good to see you guys. Yes, I enjoyed it. Any last comments from the class? Anybody from the class? I've got one last question, or everybody happy?
Yes, please. One last question.
Okay.
One last question from me. This is Pomodo. Yeah. Prof, and all your other colleagues, I just wanted to know, in your experiences practicing knowledge management in different countries, what is the level of importance attached to KM, and is it perceived to be of value? Is this a field that you would encourage us to continue pursuing? Yeah.
Well, thank you for the question. And my experience so far is very much depending on the very people that you are being asked to work with, right? So in my past experience, obviously we are working with people who are very convinced because they embrace the knowledge, they have the budget, they have the authority to proceed with the project, right? And so there's no problem there working with those people. They are already converted. However, when you come to to operationalize the KM journey, more people need to be involved, and this is where more cultivation and change is needed, because not everyone, especially at the operational level, would operate with the same mentality. And I have to say that on some rare occasions, we have worked with the skeptics, where people actually refuse to cooperate and say that we are wasting time and we are just not getting any fruitful results. So not many, but there are skeptics among the community that you have to be prepared for. But if you are at the consultancy level, of course, if you are being asked to to start a consultancy project, you're already working with the converted, because otherwise they would not have the budget and the authority to authorize that project for you.
Thank you very much, Prof.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, everybody else good? Yeah, thank you, Prof. Yes, it's been great. Thanks so much.
Thank you. We won't have time for it. I also have a lecture on future KM technologies. I will send you a link, and students who are interested, they can replay it. I've already recorded.
Perfect. Great. Thank you, Prof. Thank you very much. All
Thank
right.
you. I look
you.
forward to our next engagement with the South African students. It's a wonderful experience.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, Jan.
Nice to see you all. Until next time.
Yes, perfect. All right. Thank you.
Stay.
Bye-bye. Ciao.
Bye.
Ciao.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ioana.
Thank you. Bye.